Greetings everyone, this is Paul B., the homeless consultant, and I just wanted to make a quick video because I have an opportunity here to demonstrate something that happens all too often. This is in reference to, if you look in the foreground outside my windshield, the leftmost truck, that utility truck, appears to be with, if I can read that far, Center Point Energy, and this is something that comes up often. This fella has been sitting there for about 2 hours, almost 2 hours. He pulled in a little after 11:30, and it is now almost 1:30. Oh boy. And now he's leaving once I pull the camera up. Very interesting. Wow. Well, he's gone, so let me let me turn all this around and put on my uniform, and I'll let you look at my face for better or worse while I tell you the rest of the story here. I'll be right back. Okay, greetings, hello again. Sorry I wasn't wearing my uniform, so I had to put this on and spin the camera on, try to get it settled. Anyway, I want to tell you the rest of the story, and I want to try to be brief. This happens often. I believe I told you that Centerpoint Energy truck had sat there for about 2 hours, and then he leaves when I pull up the video camera. When he first pulled in, he pulled where that semi-truck is that you saw to the right-hand side, facing the other direction. And he sat there for about 10 or 15 minutes, and then he just turned around and made a U-turn to the position that you saw him. That position gave him a direct line looking, if he were in his vehicle looking in exactly the same angle that I'm looking at this camera, which is a very comfortable angle, he'd be staring right at me. And which is probably why he left when I pulled out the camera. Anyway, this is my point. When the homeless and the unemployed, and particularly those who are homeless and unemployed, most people have a visceral, just gut feeling when they learn someone is homeless or unemployed or both. And that feeling involves something of the nature of that person must be doing something wrong, that person must be lazy. Now, intellectually, you might not want to believe it. It's the same thing as if you are not a racist. Let's face it, when you get surrounded by a group of people who are of some other race, you often feel some kind of discomforting feeling whether you want to or not. It may not mean anything. It's just a visceral thing that happens, and this is part of the cultural training. It really doesn't even have as much to do with how you feel about things as how much you've been trained to be expected to feel. So when people find out I'm homeless and unemployed, they automatically assume I must be lazy. And they immediately start with the long list of questions, the same questions every time, and the questions have no meaning unless you've been there, unless you, in my situation, have tried to do it yourself. Why don't you just get a job? These kinds of things. And, again, I'll just put it out there because you're probably wondering the same thing. The two main problems I have getting a job, I'd say first and foremost is hygiene. I have no way to maintain my hygiene. And I've been out talking to employers, but I'm an honest person, and when I go in there, I tell them, this is my situation, I'm trying to get out of it, and, I would like help in the form of a job, and in return, I'm going to give you the best work you've ever had from somebody who's reliable and dependable and hardworking, and I will give you proper notice, when I leave. And, I'll give you that in fair exchange for you having faith in me and giving me a chance, giving me a job. But the first thing out of their mouth, and usually because they can smell me already, but even if I try my best to clean myself up, the first thing out of their mouth is, what are you going to do about hygiene? And I have no answer for that because there is nothing I can do about hygiene. Especially in the state of Minnesota, which provides absolutely no facilities for men to maintain hygiene. There's just nothing here. They don't care. They don't care if men live or die. And the second reason, of course, is more of a moral and ethical issue. Job applications, dealing with human resources, that kind of thing. They They say under penalty of perjury, or I certify that all information is true and correct to the best of my knowledge. I certify under penalty of felony. There's always fine print, or mostly always fine print, that says I give you accurate information. Well, I have to put a resident address down there, don't I? If I don't have a phone, all these things, I can't put anything on the application to speak of. So I would just be making up an address, put the address that's on my driver's license still, or something. And I'm committing perjury, I'm committing a felony, I'm at very least breaking my signed vow that I say I certify that all information is true and correct. And some people will say, well, you got to do what you got to do. And I'm thinking, like, really? I have to break the fundamental ethical laws of what make humanity function properly? Really? Is it that bad? Has Minnesota made it so bad that I have to just violate the basic laws of trust between two people? I'm forced against my will to violate those laws of trust by lying, putting I certify, signing my name to that when I know for a fact that I'm lying, because I have no address to put on these applications. Anyway, those are the two main reasons why I can't work. Now, the truck wash, it was Mr. H owned it. He just ripped out a job application in Microsoft Word. It did not have that fine print. I talked to him when he told me to put the truck wash's address in there. I did it. I wasn't signing I certify anything on that. Okay, and that's why I could work there ethically, and well, at least that's why I could take the job ethically. Once I got that job, what did I do? Look at the introduction, the 5-part introduction. I worked harder than anybody else there. I probably worked harder than all of them combined. I worked more ethically. In fact, I was the only one who worked ethically. I worked 6 days a week. And the only reason I left when I did was because Mr. H's constant abuse and rather terrifying, creepy behavior, where I'm starting to get concerned that one day my boss might be wearing my skin as a suit. Someone watching me sleep on the cameras at night from his home. All that stuff combined just had me a nervous wreck. That's the only reason I left when I did. I would have worked through the winter and saved up enough money, if I were able, again, to get out. But the point is, I'm not lazy, not by the slightest. And ever since I left that place, that's about a month ago, I have been working on these videos for how not to do business. That's all I've done. And I can't estimate how many hours I've put into it, because really, other than watching, a couple videos here and there, that's all I've done. That's it. I'm either working on scripts or recording, re-recording, editing, trying to get them online. I can't go anywhere. I'm out of resources. I can't even get food anymore. I mean, I'm stuck sitting in this parking lot because this is about the last tank of gas I have. What am I supposed to do with this? So am I really lazy? When I was at the truck wash, a guy who had been doing, pretty high-level corporate work behind a desk for 20 years goes out and gets a manual labor job at my age, and I'm blowing away kids who are half my age in terms of my ability to work, my energy level, my quality. I'm blowing away the owner of the business in terms of quality. Am I really lazy? All I can do here, since Minnesota has set up a system where I just can't get a job in any practical way and maintain it without hygiene in particular, I have been working on this video series. The purpose is to provide something of real value to other people. It tells a true story, and it helps people who are in business see things differently and think about all these different departments and business principles in ways that they may not have thought of before or in a long time. In exchange for that, I'm asking people to send me a little bit, a donation, a job offer would be even better, something that will help me get out of living in this car, out of homelessness, and back into gainful employment. And I think that's perfectly fair. I think that's reasonable. But look at the work I've had to put into this to do it. Hundreds of hours. I can't even estimate how many hours. How many hours are in a week? Take away 4 to 6 a day for sleeping, and almost every other hour for that month has in some way been spent on this video series. I don't think that's lazy at all. There's a cup, right? You can't see it. There's a couple like vodka bottles laying out there. which I'm going to pick up and throw away, by the way, because that's what I do. I do more to maintain, a clean parking lot than the people who work at this grocery store do. That stuff's been sitting there for about a week and it's driving me crazy, so I'm going to go pick it up and I'm going to throw it away because the employees aren't going to do it. Am I really that lazy? Now the question is, if people are going to have this visceral reaction when they hear that I'm homeless and unemployed, that I must be a lazy bum, then what's the deal with that CenterPoint Energy truck you just saw? Because he sat there for 2 hours, and I have to assume that even if an hour of that was some kind of unpaid lunch, I doubt these people get 2-hour lunches. I have to believe he was being paid money to sit in that truck. Do you think he was working on a video series like this? And if he was it for CenterPoint Energy or was it for himself? What was he doing in that truck that benefited his employer, that served his employer? In other words, why was CenterPoint Energy paying this person to sit in that truck for almost 2 hours? Or maybe just 1 hour if an hour was unpaid lunch. Now, I see this all the time. I see these vehicles from companies, especially government, and they pull in this parking lot and they will just sit there for a half hour, an hour, 2 hours. I've seen them sit there for the better part of an entire business day sometimes. And you tell me what they're doing for the company while they sit in those cars. But I have to assume they're being paid money. And you know what? When they go out and they talk to people in society, they have a job, they have a much nicer vehicle than I do, and presumably they have a home. They're treated with respect, they're treated with dignity, and people do not assume that they are lazy bums. And yet, they spend all this time sitting in these parking lots accepting a paycheck for whatever it is they're doing in that vehicle. And from the type of vehicle they are and the types of companies we're dealing with, I don't understand what they could conceivably be doing inside a vehicle that is earning money for their employer. I don't get it. I hope you understand the fundamental injustice and absurdity, and how observing this day after day after day is just a knife. It's just this dagger that's shoved into my dignity over and over and over again. I'm working as hard as I possibly can under conditions of duress that most people will never even comprehend, and I keep working and working and working. At present, I have uploaded, I believe, 11 videos. Many of those I had to record several times, maybe 6 times on some of these videos. Editing, re-editing, the amount of work I put into this is tremendous. And the fact is, I do that because I care about the quality of the videos. Yes, they've come out really long. I'm sorry about that, but that's what's been needed. They actually were a lot longer before I did all the editing. I'm very proud of this video series. I'm very proud of it. I think it's coming out well, but I understand that, the problem isn't with me. The problem is, do other people have the attention span to give it a fair try and look at it and see it as a valuable series? Or do they just see that it comes from a homeless person and therefore it must be worthless? So I have 11 videos up there. For a month I put in almost all waking hours working on it, and I believe I have 2 views, and those are people I know. All the other views are from me testing and going in and re-editing the text on the videos. 2 views, and they're both people I know. One is a police officer here, the other one is someone I knew at my old job. I have sent out notices and announcements all over the place about this video series. I've sent them to business publications, business schools, business people. I mean, I have sent them all over the place. And yet nobody's even bothering to watch it at the time of this recording. For all the work I did, I'm sitting here not even able to go anywhere because I have to conserve my energy, because I'm not going to have food once the scraps I have in the car are gone. I'm not going to have food for energy. I have a little bit on a gas card, so I'd say about a tank and a half of gas left. No way to get money, no way to get a job, no way to do anything. And I'm just stuck sitting here all the time. And what do I do when I'm sitting here? I see things like that. Cars come in on the job, on the payroll, and they just sit there. Those people are treated with respect when they walk around and say, I work for CenterPoint Energy. Oh, really? That sounds like a good job. I tell people, well, I'm homeless, but I'm living in my car, but I'm spending my time busting my butt on a video series that I think is really going to be useful and helpful and interesting to business people. And nobody looks at me with respect at all. They think I'm crazy. That's a visceral reaction that they have. The problem is with the people who have that reaction, not with me. There's a fundamental injustice here, and it really hurts. I had to sit and watch that guy basically, probably, if he wasn't just snoozing in there, I couldn't really see, then he was just staring at me the whole time, because I'm the known homeless person who sits in his car. I'm like a zoo animal. Cars come in here all the time and they park and they just face me, and people just stare for a while and then they leave. You know, they're not on their phones, they're not doing anything. They just, I mean, I've just become known as the homeless guy who's parked here all the time because I don't have enough gas to go anywhere. So, yeah, and as soon as I pull out the camera, the guy takes off. Amazing. Now, contrast that with the semi-truck that was parked next to him you saw. Okay, I'm looking at that right now through the window. That's a working person. They have a sleeper. I can see they have a small sleeper in the back of that truck. I bet you they're in there taking a nap. And that's fine. That's part of their job. There's nothing wrong with that. But what was up with the CenterPoint Energy truck? And what's up with all the other government and company vehicles I see doing much the same thing? Anyway, I just wanted to make that point, and I wanted to try to demonstrate it for you. I'm sorry he took off so quickly. I guess I should have known when I pulled the camera out he would take off, but I guess that kind of confirms that he probably was just staring right at me instead of doing anything to earn the money that he made, while I'm earning nothing at all. If you'd like to remedy that, I'd greatly appreciate it if you'd send in a donation, or better yet, a job offer. Help me so that I don't have to be homeless anymore. Because you know what? I work harder than these people do. It'd be nice if I finally got paid for it. Thanks for watching.